Okay, so in L4M4, we looked at 4 chapters. In chapter 1, we sought to understand options for sourcing requirements from suppliers. And we looked at the sourcing process. And we looked at what is sourcing. We learned that it has to do with where and how we get our inputs for production. And we also looked at strategic sourcing and tactical sourcing. We looked at these two using the Krajic metrics. Then we looked at outsourcing and the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing, and the need to use the transfer of undertaking protection of employment. Then in the same chapter, we looked at approaches to sourcing requirements. We looked at single sourcing, dual sourcing, and multiple sourcing arrangements. We looked at tendering and the use of direct negotiation with suppliers. And we also looked at intra-company trading and transfer pricing arrangements. I know this rings a bell. Yes, it rings a bell. Intra-company trading and transfer pricing arrangement. We learned what transfer pricing arrangement is. I know by now you've listened to the audios and you have a fair idea of almost every learning outcome. Then we also looked at supplier selection criteria, where we looked at the production capacity, the technical capability of the supplier, the financial capability of the supplier, and the systems capability. We also looked at the supplier's financial appraisal. So we looked at the ratio analysis. We did profitability ratio. We looked at liquidity ratio. We looked at efficiency ratios. And under profitability ratios, we considered the net profit percentage, the gross profit percentage, return on capital employed, return on assets. These are all, profitability ratios. Then under liquidity ratios, we have, the current ratio and the asset test ratio. Gearing ratio used to be part of the liquidity ratios, but in this syllabus, it was treated differently. So we looked at all that, and we looked at the, efficiency ratios, where we looked at the debtors collection period and the creditors payment period. We learned that the creditors payment period should be longer, but the debt collection period should be shorter, because you want to be able to collect your debt within the shortest possible time, but want to keep or hold your creditors' money for a reasonable amount of time. Then I gave an assignment regarding the ratios. The ratios are very examinable, but I know by now you are familiar with the ratios. If you are not, kindly do the assignment and send it as soon as you can so that we can look at it. Then we looked at award criteria for contracts. Award criteria and why it is important to balance the commercial and technical criteria. So that was what we did in chapter 1. And in chapter 2, we sought to understand the key processes that can be applied to the analysis of potential external suppliers. Sourcing of information on market data. how we could get information on market data. We looked at the Pareto analysis and compiling data on expenditure of suppliers. We use Pareto analysis to enable us compile data. We also looked at some indices, the commodity price index, the purchasers managers index, among others. Then we also looked at analyzing potential sales and financial reports and supply financial stability. We looked at that and the use of credit rating agencies to ascertain the financial capability of suppliers. So the credit rating agencies like Moody's, like Dun and Bradstreet, like Equinox, they are there to help us know whether our suppliers are financially sound and can do the job when awarded a contract. Then in the same chapter 2, we looked at tendering, the operation of tendering. We started with advertisement requirement because tendering usually starts with advertisement. And the advertisement is an invitation for suppliers to come and make an offer. And their offer is in the form of bid. Then we look at the formalized arrangements for tendering, the process of tendering, and the decision criteria for tendering. In that same chapter, we assessed suppliers' proposal, and we learned that items that are strategic to the organization would require a lot more evaluation, followed by bottleneck items. But items that are not so critical or routine items will require less amount of time in terms of evaluation because price quotations are usually used for those items. Then we looked at the electronic systems for sourcing requirements. Electronic systems, so e-tendering, e-requisition, e-procurement, e-payment, e-invoicing, e-contracting, e-auction. And here we looked at reverse auction also. We looked at the advantages and the disadvantages of reverse auction. Then we looked at e-catalogs as well. Then in chapter 3, we sought to understand compliance issues with sourcing from suppliers, the legislative, regulatory, and organizational requirement when sourcing in the not-for-profit making organizations, private sector, and public sectors. We looked at competitive tendering within the public sector, private sector, and not-for-profit sector. And we looked at regulations that affect these three sectors. Then we looked at international sourcing and global sourcing, the legislative, regulatory, and organizational requirement for international sourcing. What is international sourcing and what are the advantages and disadvantages? What are the legislative and regulatory requirements in terms of the documentations used in international sourcing? So here we looked at some documents and I gave an assignment in that area. Only one person did it. So we looked at these areas. Then in chapter 4, we sought to understand the ethical and responsible sourcing. Yes, ethical and responsible sourcing. We looked at international ethical standards like corruption. What is corruption? What is bribery? What is gifts and hospitality? Fraud, the causes of fraud or reasons for fraud, the rationalization view, among others. We looked at human rights, modern slavery. Then in the same chapter, we looked at how we could apply the SIPS code of conduct, ethical code of conduct, and how we could even qualify our suppliers. We also looked at the issue of due diligence, the need to do proper due diligence, and this also requires some pre-qualification of suppliers. And supporting information on ethical practices in supply, quotation, and tenders. We looked at how we could use sustainable key performance indicators and also monitor the sustainable performance of suppliers. In the same chapter, we looked at monitoring of suppliers' performance and how we could encourage dialogue with suppliers on process improvement. We also identified and addressed potential conflicts of interest. Now, in the same chapter, we looked at corporate social responsibility, what it is, and how Milton Friedman argued about it and what he actually said. We also looked at sustainable development in supply chains, the triple bottom line by John Orpington, the profit, people, and planet, and also sustainable practices, standards, and specifications in the supply chain. We also looked at the social impact of the organization's behavior and defined organizational value for money in order to include social outcomes. And this is where we sought to incorporate social and environmental criteria into our sourcing decisions for activities. Okay, so we are done with the summary. These, among others, are what we did or we've done so far. So based on the knowledge we've gathered, we are going to answer the following questions. Question 1. When the quadrants are populated, what decision does Carter's outsource metrics help you make? So if you look at Carter's outsource decision metrics, the horizontal axis looks at the contribution to operational performance, and the vertical axis looks at the strategic importance of the activity. Now we've been asked, what decision does the Carter's outsource metrics help us to make? A, whether to develop a product or service. B, whether to outsource a function. C, whether a product or service is at the end of its life cycle. And D, whether a product or service carries too much risk. What is the appropriate answer?
I think it's B.
Okay, so whether to outsource a function. So that is the correct answer because that is what it is. It helps us to know which function to outsource. Okay. Then question 2, which of the following could be barriers to international sourcing? Choose 4 correct answers. Barriers to international sourcing.
No.
E, price differences.
Price differences. Okay. So that is 1.
Time differences.
Time differences. Okay.
And language.
Language differences. Okay.
And culture.
Cultural differences. Okay. So we are done. But price differences, it's arguable though. Okay, so price
Sorry.
difference being a barrier to international sourcing.
No, I think it's ethical because if it's a currency difference,
Yeah.
not price. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
I
because
wanted
with
to say
price,
Yeah.
the price difference, if it will rather be a driver, right?
Yeah.
yes.
That is what will make you do international purchase, because prices may be cheaper outside than in your local country or in your country. Okay.
Like
So
exchange rates.
yeah, exchange rate is a barrier.
Yeah.
Exchange rate is a barrier. Okay. All right. Let me see if. All right. Question 3. Which of the following are criteria for evaluating a potential supplier? Choose 4 correct answers.
Yeah. A, financial.
Yeah, financial. Okay.
E, price.
Price. Okay.
D, age of workforce.
Age of workforce.
Yeah.
Okay.
And B, quality of products.
Quality of products. Okay. All right. Reputation doesn't really matter, I guess. The supplier's reputation. So the supplier's reputation and the age of workforce, which one would you prioritize?
I think reputation should come before the
Okay. So let's look at reputation. Okay, the gender of the management team is not a key thing. Religion, the religion of the supplier. No. Price, reputation, quality, and financial. Yes, these 4. Yeah. Okay. So the age of the workforce will be part of the technical criteria or the production capacity. But those ones that we may want to prioritize are these 4. The others are secondary. Then question 4. Drag and drop the events into the correct order to create a product life cycle. Start with the first at the top. So a product life cycle.
Introduction.
Introduction, 1.
Christmas, what's the last one?
The last one is obsolescence.
Okay.
So we have maturity, decline, growth, introduction, obsolescence. What's the order?
Introduction.
Then after introduction,
growth.
Growth
after growth,
maturity
after maturity,
Decline.
After decline,
Obsolescence.
And last.
Yeah, so obsolescence will be the last. Okay. So that'll be it. Then drag and drop the correct answers into the blank spaces to complete the sentences. But actually, okay, so a buyer working for a manufacturing company evaluated the cost involved in assembling a subcomponent. For the purpose of the comparison, the buyer used 100 units. The cost to assemble one unit in-house was $3. If we assemble one unit in-house, it will cost us $3. A supplier quoted $1.5 to do the work. Isn't it cheaper than doing it in-house? Because if the supplier quoted $1.5 and it will cost us higher to do it in-house, then his price is better. The buyer calculated that its indirect overhead associated with in-house assembly came to $1 per unit. The supplier quoted a total price to pack and ship the assembled unit at $150 per 100 or per 100 units. Okay, so if you are multiplying the 100 units by the 1.5, yes, then 150, it will cost us $300 to do it in-house, won't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so based on the calculations, the buyer opted to sell, outsource, in-house, buy, produce the subcomponent assembly rather than dash it in-house.
So the buyer opted to outsource the subcomponent assembly rather than rather produce it in-house.
Okay, rather than produce it in-house. Okay, so outsource, produce is gone in-house. Okay. This decision resulted in the process costing the organization how much less?
That's 200 less.
200 less. Yes.
Yeah.
200 less.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then we can look at question 6. Ratio analysis can have limitations, true or false?
True.
Okay. Reputation does not contribute towards added value, true or false?
False.
False, okay. Open and restricted are types of tendering, true or false?
True.
True.
Okay. Credit rating agencies are not required to evaluate suppliers.
That's false.
That's false. Because we need them to check the financial capability of suppliers. Make or buy is a decision taken as to whether to outsource or not, true or false?
True.
True.
Okay. All employees should be treated equally.
True.
The maturity stage of a life cycle is when a product is most popular with consumers. True or false?
True.
True.
Okay. Gearing is a ratio used to evaluate the company's long-term debt.
Yeah, true.
True.
Okay. Outsourcing always costs an organization more money than making something.
True.
Always.
No,
Cost.
no, it's false.
It's not always.
Not always.
You see, that's what beats us sometimes. It's always. Sometimes
Not
it
always.
costs cheaper. It is cheaper doing it
Yes.
in-house. Sometimes it is more expensive doing it in-house. So it's false. Suppliers' performance should be managed. True or false?
True.
True.
Okay.
Chris, is it going to be like this?
This is just a photocopy. You may get L4M4 is quite tricky. Yes, it's quite tricky.
Wow.
So I would, yes, the pass rate isn't that good. It is very understandable, but if you are not careful, it can stress you. So I would encourage you to master it so well, especially the ratio. Yes, make sure you understand its application. And learning outcome is, I think, chapter 4, ethical and responsible sourcing. Make sure you understand everything there. Then question 16, drag and drop the correct words into blank spaces to complete the paragraph about analyzing data suppliers. When analyzing suppliers, data can be gathered from various means. When assessing a supplier's dash stability, a buyer can look at their dash sheet. Okay, let's try and fill up these blank spaces before we move on. So when assessing a supplier's what stability are they talking about? A buyer can look at their dash sheet.
Financial stability.
Financial stability, correct? A buyer can look at their what?
Balance sheet.
Balance sheet. Okay, seeking a score from a dash rating agency.
Credit rating agency.
It can also aid a buyer in gaining knowledge on a supplier's position. Analyzing suppliers prior to engaging in a dash can help to reduce the elements of dash a buying organization exposes itself to. Analyzing suppliers prior to engaging in a
Contract.
In a contract can help to reduce the element of what?
Risk.
Risk or vulnerability.
Yes, risk.
A buying organization exposes itself to. Okay, that's great. Okay, question 17. Reviewing which supplier document will aid a buyer in understanding their supply chain values and acceptable behaviors. Choose one correct answer. Which supplier document? Code of ethics. Okay. Suppliers Code of Ethics. Then question 18, drag and drop the stages into the correct order for creating and conducting a weighted point system assessment. So the weighted point system assessment. So what is the first order or the first, stage of weighted point system assessment? What was the first thing to do? So we determine a point.
No, B, define the criteria which are going to be used in assessment.
Okay, you first define the criteria. Okay.
Decide on the weight of each criteria.
Yes, you decide on the weight of each criteria. Okay.
Allocate a score to each criteria against.
Yes, so allocate a score to each criteria against the supplier's proposal, correct?
Determine a point scoring system.
Okay, determine a point scoring system. Okay, what next?
Calculate the total score for each supplier.
Okay, calculate the total score for each supplier. Then?
You rank the suppliers to be able to, yeah.
Okay, then you rank the suppliers to be able to see which has the highest score. Which has the highest score. All right. So if you look at the weighted point system, what you do is that you will define the criteria which are going to be used in the assessment. Then you determine a point scoring system. Then you decide on the weight of each criteria. Then you allocate a score. Sorry, you allocate a score to each criteria against the supplier's proposal. Then you calculate the total score for each supplier. Then you rank the suppliers to be able to see which has the highest score. Yeah, so you can always refer to it in the book. It's in the correct order in your book. So that is it. But you did a very good job in terms of the arrangement. The question 19. Drag and drop the correct answers into the order. After everything, I will send you a Word format of this. You answer everything and send it to me, okay? That's like the L4M4. So drag and drop the correct answers into the blank spaces to answer the questions about e-procurement. Which e-system is used to view specifications of products? Okay.
E-catalogs.
E-catalogs. E-catalogs. Okay. Which e-system is used to generate a need?
Requisition. E-requisition.
E-requisition. Okay. Which e-system is used to bid on products and services?
E-auction.
E-auction.
Auctions.
E-auction. Which E-system is used to advise a supplier on a requirement?
E-ordering.
E-ordering. Okay. All right. Question 20. What is the name of the process where suppliers reduce their price offering to try and win a contract? E-auction, forward auction, open auction, reverse auction. Yes. I'm thinking, eh?
E-auction.
E-auction, eh? Electronic auction. Yeah, so here you realize that it was reduced to suppliers. So what is the name of the process where suppliers reduce their price offering to try and win a contract? The e-auction is where the buyers try to increase their price offering to try and win.
The reverse auction.
This one is a reverse auction because it has to do with the suppliers, not the buyers. Okay, that's fine. Question 21, what are the prices of raw materials known as? Choose one correct answer.
Commodity prices.
Yes, they are commodities. Raw materials are also called commodities. Balance sheets, income statements, and cash flow statements are all examples of dash information. Okay, financial information. What is a facility where traders buy and sell securities, such as shares and bonds, known as?
Stock exchange.
Stock exchange.
Yeah, the stock exchange. When do responses to tenders have to be received? Choose one correct answer.
By the deadline specified.
Okay, by the deadline specified. Because quickest time possible is not definite in a clear folder, no, by the end of the month. What do good reputations, being environmentally friendly, providing a fair price, and supplying good quality all result in providing? Choose one correct answer.
Added
Okay.
value.
Added value.
Added value. Added value. Added value. Question 26. Drag and drop the stages into the correct order to complete a tender process. Okay, start with the first at the top. A tender process. How do you start?
Create and
create
send
and send.
the ITT.
Create and send the ITT. Okay.
And A, wait for all responses to be returned.
Yes, wait for all responses to be returned.
Evaluate bids.
Yeah, you evaluate risk and bids.
Select the most suitable supplier.
You select the most suitable supplier.
Award the contract.
Then award the contract. Correct. Okay. Which body are charities regulated by? Okay, so which body regulates charity organizations?
Charities Corporation.
The charity corporation. Okay, this is UK. So for UK, it is the Charities Commission. In UK is the Charities Commission. All right, so international commercial terms. International commercial terms. I know you remember these terms. Which of the following are recognized international commercial terms? Choose 5 correct answers.
X-Works.
X-Works. Okay.
FOB.
FOB, free on board. Correct.
DDP.
DDP.
Liver duty paid. Correct.
CIF.
Cost insurance.
Cost insurance.
Correct.
Cost insurance paid. Okay.
Cost and insurance.
Yes, yeah, insurance paid.
Yes, CIP. Okay. All right. Question 29. Put the following terms in order, ranging from the most beneficial to the buyer to most beneficial for supplier. So these are payment terms, or yes, payment mechanisms, not terms, payment mechanisms. So which of these payment mechanisms, benefit the buyer? So which one comes first?
Letter of credit.
Letter of credit.
Open account.
Advance.
Open
Cash
account.
in advance.
Okay, open account works for the buyer because the buyer receives the goods and pays later. Is it not favorable?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Then
Term and time.
Yes, term and time draft. Here, the buyer receives the goods and there is some time for the buyer to evaluate the quality of the goods before he makes payment. Okay. Then after that, so it also benefits the buyer.
Letter of credit. Yes.
Yeah, for the letter of credit, who gets his money first?
The supplier.
The supplier gets his money first. So
Okay.
we can look at site draft.
As you pay, you see the product and then you pay.
Yes, once you see the goods, now you have to make payment.
Okay.
That is, so you can see that it is the least beneficial to the buyer. The most beneficial is open account, followed by term and time draft. Then the least beneficial is site draft. For the supplier, the most beneficial is cash in advance. Okay, so after the site draft, then we can look at letters of credit or letter of credit. That one is in the middle. It balances the interest of both parties. Then the cash in advance is the most beneficial to the supplier. So if you look at the question, it says ranging from the most beneficial to buyer to most beneficial for supplier. Cash in advance is the most beneficial for the supplier. The most beneficial. Okay. Question 30. Complete the sentences by filling the blank spaces.
Letter of credit.
Okay, a letter of what? Credit is used between a buying and a
Selling.
selling organization as a
Confirmation.
confirmation or guarantee. As a guarantee that
Guarantee.
the seller will receive an agreed sum of
Money.
from their customer. Strict are said, or rules, yes, are set when issuing letters of credit, some of which include seeing the confirmation of
Confirmation.
Payments.
no documents.
No documents.
Yeah, to prove the goods have been dispatched. Okay. So match the keywords to the correct definitions. A theory that states that 80% of events are generated from 20% of the causes.
Pareto.
Pareto analysis or Pareto principle. Okay, a categorization process dividing the subject matter into three levels of value.
ABC.
Okay, ABC. ABC analysis. It's also the same Pareto we are talking about. But once you see categorization, it's ABC. Data relating to trends within the population. That one is a bonus question.
Demographics.
Okay, yeah, demographics. Question 32. Match the keywords to the correct definitions. The first one is what? Items of value owned by an organization which can be used to meet debt. Assets. Okay. Saving costs by increasing the level of production.
Economies of scale.
Economies of scale. Then the movement of something from one place to another.
Logistics.
It's also a bonus question once you have the first two correct. Logistics. Match the keywords to the correct definition. An economic group formed by different countries in a geographical zone to create preferential trade conditions.
Trade block.
Trade block. Okay. An official inspection conducted either by the procurement organization itself or by an independent third party to ensure compliance with requirements and standards.
Audit.
Okay. The defined boundaries that limit the extent of a study to ensure that it is focused on the specific situation or problem.
Scope.
Okay. Question 34. What is paying a government official to ignore unethical behavior an example of? Choose
Corruption.
one. Okay, corruption. Paying a government official. Corruption. Which SIPS document defines the behaviors and actions that SIPS professionals should follow throughout their membership? Choose one correct. SAFE's Code of Ethics.
Yeah.
Okay. Drag and drop the correct words into the blank spaces to complete paragraph about unethical behavior. A procurement manager employed her daughter as a senior buyer. The other staff members thought this was
Unethical.
unethical and could be seen as a
Conflict of interest.
conflict of interest. Yes. The expediter was especially unhappy as he had applied for the position. So he rang the dash hotline to raise their concerns, knowing that he would not have to discuss his name.
Private.
The private hotline to raise their concerns. Okay.
Or
Private
confidential.
hotline. Private hotline. What about ethical hotline?
Or confidential. Ethical too.
Confidential hotline. Yes, so the ethical, as for the private, the hotline can be private but may not relate to ethical or ethics. Because here you realize the person is trying to lodge a complaint of an unethical conduct taking place. Yeah, so the expediter was especially unhappy as he had applied for the position. So he rang the ethical hotline to raise their concerns, knowing that he would not have to discuss his name. So he won't mention his name. So it's a confidential information he's giving them. And his name must not be mentioned. Which of the below represents the triple bottom line? Choose 3 correct answers. Yes, let's go.
People,
People,
profit,
profit,
price.
no,
Right.
Planet.
the planet.
I think so. Yes.
So planet is environmental sustainability, people is social sustainability, and profit is economic sustainability. Okay. Question 38. Accepting a kickback from a contractor is a form of which unethical behavior? Choose 1 correct answer. Accepting kickback from a contractor.
Bribery.
Okay, bribery. All right. Then Julio exited the meeting with one of his pre-evaluated suppliers, having spent the last 2 hours discussing the tender proposal. On paper, Ariba Hollis looked like the sort of supplier Julio's organization would like to. However, having just been offered $500 to remain silent on unethical behavior such as trafficking immigrants, Julio's opinion was rapidly changing because he has been given $500. These young people, usually aged 25 to 35, according to the supplier, have to work for Ariba in return for accommodation at the back of their main warehouse. They get a very small amount of money, which according to the supplier is the reason why its tender bid was so competitive. Because they are not paying adults, they are paying children. So they can put a lower price. Julio was offered an additional $100 per month throughout the duration of the contract, which would be generated from Ariba's subcontractors if he awarded it to them and disregarded all the other suppliers' bids. Based on the details the supplier gave Julio, what term best describes the issue the workers at Ariba face? Choose the best option.
Modern slavery.
Modern slavery.
Modern slavery. Okay. So, are you sure it's modern slavery?
I don't think it's child labor because the people are aged between 25 to 35.
Okay.
And then it's not forced labor. I don't think it's forced labor as they are not being forced to work. They are working to get a place to live.
Okay. So it is modern slavery. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's well said. It can be child labor because the young people are between 25, 35. Yeah. Okay. So modern slavery. If Julio took the $500 and awarded Ariba the contract, what would he be guilty of accepting?
Bribe.
A bribe.
Bribe. Based on the scenario, what would Julio's best course of action be? Choose the best option if you were in his shoes.
B.
Report the meeting and the offer of the money in accordance with his company's code of ethics. Say no, but not award the contract to Ariba. Thank Ariba for the offer of the money, kindly refuse it and offer them the contract. Okay, so the PSB is the most. So report the meeting and the offer of money in accordance with his, because there's a conflict of interest situation. Okay. The offering of an additional $100 per month is a direct example of what type of unethical behavior?
Kickback.
Okay, yes, kickback. Which of the following is the most effective measure for a procurement manager to identify potential risks in relation to suppliers' exposure to increases in interest rates? Which of the following is the most effective measure for a procurement manager to identify potential risks? in relation to a supplier's exposure to increases in interest rates?
That's gearing.
Yeah, that's gearing. Gearing ratio, because it looks at the long-term debt over equity, loan capital, and equity capital. If your loan capital is higher than equity, you are paying a lot of interest. So your gearing will be high. A procurement organization has a complex and very high spend requirement for which there are many suppliers, all with capacity and a desire to deliver the contract. Once awarded, the contract can be easily switched to an alternative source of supply. Price is just one consideration, but other more qualitative factors are also important in deciding which supplier to award the contract to. Which of the following describes the characteristics of the item and provides the best method of awarding the contract? So, leverage and competitive tender, strategic. So, describe the characteristics of the item. We are looking at two things: characteristics of the item and the best method for awarding contract for that item. So, leverage and competitive tender, strategic and e-auction, routine and supplier negotiation, bottleneck and framework agreement.
I think it's B, strategic and e-auction.
Yes, okay. E-auction would always work for routine. Electronic auction, like reverse auction, will always work for routine. There is no strategic supplier that would even come on an e-auction platform because they are not many. You would get just a few suppliers, maybe 2 or 3. So strategic items may favor more of a partnership approach to sourcing or even negotiation if necessary, because they are limited in number. Okay. But also the procurement organization has a complex and very high spend requirement for which there are many suppliers, all with capacity. And so here, this one even tells us that it's not strategic because for strategic items, there are not many suppliers. Yes, there are not many suppliers for strategic items, all with capacity and desire to deliver the contract. Once awarded, the contract can be easily switched to an alternative source of supply. Which item are they dealing with?
Then it's rather A.
It's rather A. You get leverage and competitive tender. Good. All right. Which of the following is the most useful to assess a supplier's liquidity? Current ratio, earnings per share.
Ratio.
Current ratio. Hey, this current ratio, they grab them fast. I hear. Current ratio, very fast. It means you understand the ratios. Which of the following incoterms applies to any form of transportation and carries the highest risk profile for the buyer?
That's X-Works.
Highest risk profile for the buyer is X-Works. Yes. Okay. So Vex works, the buyer goes to the supplier's premises and picks up the goods. Question 47. A major public body has a requirement to award a high-value service contract or services contract. Procurement for the body is regulated. It has conducted market analysis and has identified many potential suppliers that could potentially deliver the contract. It has a clear specification. It is an important contract, but the requirement is not urgent. The most important driver for the organization is to find the best supplier. Given all of these factors, which of the following approaches is likely to be the most appropriate? Direct award, restricted tendering, negotiated tendering, competitive or negotiated procedure, competitive dialogue. So let me read it again. A major public body has a requirement to award a high-value services contract. Procurement for the body is regulated. It has conducted market analysis and has identified many potential suppliers that could potentially deliver the contract. It has a clear specification. It is an important contract, but the requirement is not urgent. The most important driver for the organization is to find the best supplier. Given all of these factors, which of the following approaches is likely to be the most appropriate?
Competitive dialogue.
Oh, I think restricted tendering.
D.
Because you've already done the market analysis, they know who have the item they want, the services they want.
Yes.
So
Yes, their specification is clear. With competitive dialogue, specifications are not usually clear. You need the supplier to bring some clarity to the specification. But here it has a clear specification, and we need to find the best supplier. It's an important contract, so we have to pre-qualify the suppliers, and that is restricted tendering. Restricted tendering. Question 48. High-tech products. So most of your questions are going to be like this. Yes, question 47, 48, 49, the way they are.
But not true of us.
You may get one or two true or false, or you may not even get any of them. You may not get any question at all, true or false. Those ones are just meant to bring out your understanding of some of the concepts. Okay. High-tech products incorporation has developed a new product, the patent for which has been registered worldwide. It has identified target customers and potential distributors for the product to be sold around the world. HTPI realizes that profit margins will be tight, and so finding the best suppliers will be key. It is open to ideas in terms of production processes and is keen to learn more from the supply market before running a formal competition. Which of the following should HTPI conduct as a priority? Competitive negotiation, invitation to tender, request for information, supply appraisal.
Request for information.
Yes, request for information. Request for information. Okay. Which of the following items found in a supplier's financial statement are relevant to gearing? Long-term debt, opening inventory, short-term investment, shareholders' equity.
1M4.
1M4, long-term debt and shareholder equity. 1M4. Okay. Credit rating. Credit rating is a relevant selection criterion when running a competitive tender. Is this statement true? Yes, because credit rating will impact on the brand. Yes, because the credit rating will impact on the profitability of the supplier. No, because credit ratings are unreliable. No, because credit ratings should be undertaken after selection.
B.
B. Okay. So yes, because the credit rating will impact the profitability of the supplier. And our last question. Which of the following are examples of secondary data that might be useful to understand the market when sourcing? Select the two that apply. Secondary data.
Supplier websites.
Okay, supplier websites and
Online survey.
okay. Supplier websites. What about government reports? Government reports could be statistical reports. Okay. Online surveys. Focus groups. That's when you conduct an online survey. Is it secondary or primary data?
It's a primary data.
Because if you issue a questionnaire to me online, you are collecting primary data.
Yeah.
Okay. So government reports and supplier websites.
Micro.
Yeah. All right. So that is it. I'll send you the Word document right now. You will answer it and send it into my mail. Okay. So, you have any question?
Yes.
Okay.
Christian, I wanted to ask, how many questions are we to expect?
I think 60.
60. And then what's the pass? How many should we get correct to pass?
You need to score 70% to pass.
Oh, okay.
Yes, 70% to pass. So out of the 60 questions, 70% of 60, you can calculate the number of questions you have to get correct. At least you should get 40 to 50 answers correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And does it apply to the L4M4 too?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All the objective responses, you need 70% to pass.
Okay.
It is helpful if you get 69. Sometimes.
So 100% score.
Pardon?
Is it 100% score?
Yes, 100% score. But I need to get 70 to pass. You could get 70.
Get 69.
69 is fail. That is what we need to avoid. 65, 67, 69, 68. If you get around those, max. It's not good. At least we should hit our 70% or 75 price cool. Okay, so kindly put in all your efforts, everything. The money you are paying is a lot. Yeah, it's because of CIPS that we haven't been able to increase our rates since 2016. You can imagine. So you have to take advantage of that. So what is the net present value of 500 Ghana cedis? Since 500 Ghana cedis from 2016, what will be the value now?
That's 50% less.
50% less, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we should be charging like 750 or 800 thereabout. But the rates are going up, so we've been quiet. But maybe in a few months, or I would say by next year, you may see an slightly up or slight upward adjustment. Okay. Okay. Or we shouldn't increase it.
No.
We shouldn't, eh?
Yes.
Since 2016.
We will change the
Oh,
president, so everything will be fine.
That is an unfair and unethical statement.
This one is very ethical. We'll change your president.
It's unfair and unethical, eh? Okay, that's good. That's good. You answered most of the questions so well, and I presume by the time you enter the exam, so you will have prepared adequately for the questions. I wish you all the best, and kudos. Yes, more grace to your elbow. This one, we are killing it once and for all. No reset. So please suspend everything you are doing and focus on it and pass it once and for all. The money is too much. It's painful when I hear someone fail a paper, and that money I could have used it to buy something. It's painful, and I know it's something that we all don't like. But once you fail a paper, the second attempt, we have to try and get it. Then we can move on. Yes, I know you have the strength, you have the energy, you have the determination to pass, or the desire to pass. And with prayer, everything will be fine. So, add prayers too. Sometimes it depends on the set of questions you get. Someone may get a set of favorable questions. Others may get some wicked-minded questions. And that could affect your chances of passing the paper. So let's pray for some number of favorable questions. Yes. So that we can pass it once and for all and move on. All right. Thanks so much for your time, and have a blessed day.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.